Okay, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into just one source. It's an article by Issy Lepowski from June 9, 2025.
And the title is something else.
Right. It's called, "We've Been Sold a Story That Isn't Remotely True. How Private Equity Billionaires Killed the American Dream." Really grabs you.
So, yeah, that's definitely not subtle. It's taking aim at, well, a huge concept, the American dream, and saying private equity billionaires are behind its demise. That's quite a claim.
It really is.
Mm.
And so our mission here is basically to unpack what this article is arguing, and specifically how it uses one very vivid example to try and show that this story it mentions isn't reality.
And what's interesting, I think, is how the article tries to make this connection. It doesn't just talk about abstract finance stuff. It takes that big, bold claim and ties it straight to a real-world situation, a pretty painful one, actually. The idea seems to be that this specific outcome kind of exposes the gap between the narrative and the facts on the ground.
And the reality it zooms in on, according to the author, happened in Emeryville, California. The source puts us there on March 15th, 2018.
Okay, March 2018. That time frame lines up with, a lot of news coverage back then. Probably images of customers leaving a Toys R Us.
That's precisely it. The article uses that specific image, that moment, people leaving a store that's closing down as like a symbol for something much bigger and pretty devastating.
Right.
Because the source says Toys R Us had just filed for liquidation in U.S. bankruptcy court.
Liquidation, yeah. That's the end of the road for a company usually. And the scale of it, the article mentions that.
Oh, yeah. It highlights the plans involved closing, I think it was, 735 stores across the whole U.S.
735 stores. That's huge.
Massive. And the human impact, that's really central to the article's point. It spills out the costs.
Yeah.
33,000 workers suddenly without a job.
33,000. Wow. So, okay, let's connect the dots here like the article seems to want us to. You have the specific really negative outcome, stores closing, tens of thousands unemployed. And the article links that directly back to its headline about private equity and the American dream.
Yeah.
It's presenting this Toys R Us situation as basically Exhibit A, the consequence of these financial forces.
Exactly. It's not just laying out facts like this happened and this happened. It's using the Toys R Us collapse as evidence for its argument. The implication seems to be that the way the private equity owners handled the company, often involving a lot of debt.
Leveraged buyout model, yeah.
Right. That strategy was, a key reason for the collapse. It puts that idea of like financial wizards creating value next to the stark reality of 33,000 people being out of work.
And that really gets to the core of what the article's pushing, doesn't it? That the story we might hear is about growth, maybe efficiency. But the reality, using Toys R Us as the example, is job losses on a massive scale, a beloved brand gone.
Yeah.
And the article frames that as completely undermining the kind of opportunity and stability that, people associate with the American dream. It's essentially asking, look at this outcome. Does this look like the positive story you've been told?
And Toys R Us. I mean, everyone knew Toys R Us. It wasn't some obscure company.
Exactly. That makes the example powerful.
Its failure, which the article explicitly ties to these specific financial actors and methods, it makes the whole abstract idea of private equity's impact feel very, very real and, concerning for a lot of people.
So why frame it as private equity killing the American dream? The article seems to suggest that outcomes like this, like the huge job losses at Toys R Us, aren't just unfortunate side effects.
Right. It implies they're direct results.
Yeah, direct results of financial decisions where maybe paying down debt or generating short-term returns took priority over the company's long-term health or the security of its workforce. And for the author, that outcome is the harsh truth, contradicting any story about widespread prosperity from these deals.
Okay, so wrapping this part up, we've looked at this article's really provocative central claim. That there's this misleading story out there about how forces like private equity impact something as big as the American dream.
And we've seen its main evidence, the very real, very stark example of Toys R Us going under in 2018. Those 735 store closures, and specifically the 33,000 jobs documented as lost. That's the consequence the article pins on these forces.
So thinking about that headline again, the one about a story that isn't remotely true, here's maybe something for you, the listener, to think about. When you see these kinds of real-world results, like what this article describes with Toys R Us, all those stores vanishing, all those people losing their jobs, what does that make you question?
Yeah, what does it make you ask about the stories we generally hear? About how financial systems work and, crucially, what their actual effect is on, everyday people's lives and livelihoods?
Just something to mull